Hey guys, and welcome back to our next episode of Breaking the Cycle, Finding Financial Freedom. We have our wonderful co-host Beardy, who is back, and Grind. So
Hello.
let's if you guys haven't checked out their Twitters yet, you guys definitely should. Beardy Day, Endless Grind 2. And let's get started with today's questions, guys. First of all, how you guys doing on a Sunday?
Good. Getting ready for Memorial Day.
Yep. How about you, Beardy?
Just chilling. Still
Nice.
reeling after our node conversation. So my
Yes,
brain is
sir.
spinning a little bit.
All right.
hmm
So let's get started with our first question that we put out for our poll. How do miners secure Bitcoin when block rewards are reduced or all mined?
Yeah. So all the questions that we're going to talk about today came from the community. So thank you to them for
Definitely.
participating and engaging. Um, so like some people are just still confused about, how do miners secure Bitcoin after all the block rewards are mined, or they're reduced. And so it's my understanding of it is, the last block is not going to be mined for a really long time, far into the future.
2,145, I believe.
Yeah, there, it is possible that if the block times speed up as more and more people adopt the network, that it could happen much sooner than that. But it's still, like 50 plus years from now. So let's not worry ourselves about exactly when it's going to end, because we still got plenty of time. A lot can happen between now and then. A lot of changes can happen. And so, but basically, as the block rewards are getting to reduced at each of the halvings, you're still getting Bitcoin, but this is inherently what kind of increases the value of the coins, because if it costs a certain amount of money to run the miners, if and to run the business, this will inherently make it less likely that they want to sell their coin for a lower price. They want to sell it for a price that keeps them profitable, or and whatnot. So this it reduces the amount of coins that are coming to market, and then hopefully it also incentivizes them to sell the coins for a higher price, because they have less of them. So this is what we've been seeing, where like in the post halving years, you start to see this huge run up into a bull market, because everybody's recognizing that the supply has been reduced, but the demand is staying either the same or continuing to increase. So the laws of supply and demand pretty much operate there. And then the second part, when they are all mined, you're still going to have the fees per each block as you continue moving forward. So obviously, that will be
Mhm.
significantly less than the Bitcoin that they're getting from mining the blocks right now. But again, if the value of Bitcoin is increased at that time, the laws of supply and demand should kind of find the fair value in there. But I do want to direct people to a video by Coin Bureau. He posted it about 2 years ago. It's called "Will Bitcoin Collapse at the 21 Million Limit?" And it's a good video to answer questions about this very question that we have right here. And so I'm not going to like explain everything that he says, but he does go into what happens when the last Bitcoin is mined. And he presents solutions that will probably manifest themselves in some way over the coming decades. So he talks about how layer two solutions will probably step in to kind of help with the increase of demand on the Bitcoin system. He also talks about how electricity and other types of technological advances will reduce the cost of running miners, so therefore making it not as burdensome to operate these companies. He also talks about smart contract chains being implemented on different layers of Bitcoin that can potentially like help out with this issue. And then he also brings up the theoretical possibility that all miners and nodes could potentially agree to increase the amount of Bitcoin, which would obviously dilute the value of the Bitcoin that we have right now. But technically, it is a possibility. So, if they were to write into the code that there could be more Bitcoin and reserve those Bitcoin for the miners to keep the miners going, that's definitely a possibility. And then last but not least, he also talks about how in the future, if it truly does become more of like a world reserve currency or commodity of some sort, governments and companies might have incentives to kind of provide financial assistance to miners. Like, we're going to subsidize the miner because we recognize the value that they're providing for the Bitcoin network, which is what hopefully everybody is using then. So there's plenty of different ways that we can kind of address this problem if it does not work itself out as designed in the code over the coming decades. That's my take on it.
Now, do you prescribe to the theory that at some point there may be a way to retrieve like the millions of Bitcoin that have been lost, like through wallets that are, inactive for the last, say we get to the point in 30 years in the future, right? And you've got the guy who drowned with 1 million Bitcoin, in his wallet or whatever, right? No one knows the keys to that. Do you think that there will be a time when it will almost be acceptable that they hack into those wallets and disperse those coins, or do something with that, with like maybe miners or something? Or how do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's tricky because do I believe that the technology will exist to be able to do that? Yes. I think quantum computing will eventually get to the point where you'll be able to, take a security firm or something and provide them with the information needed for them to start the process of hacking into a wallet. However, if that is possible, that means the other wallets are also at risk. So the Bitcoin network is going to have to put out updates that protect us from quantum computing. But then there might be a way to give permission for well, I want somebody to hack into this wallet because it's something that I lost. And so maybe there'll be a way for you to work around that so that you can get access to that wallet and then go back there. So quantum computing is going to allow you to do that, but it also poses a risk to the network. So we have to make sure that we're kind of taking care of it on each side.
Yeah, it seems like it's a real double-edged sword, right? Because we'd love there to be all 21 million Bitcoin out there, right, for everyone to be able to use and everything. But at the same time, I feel like this technology wasn't really at the beginning wasn't really respected for what it could be or what it was or going to become, right? So people have lost so many that and it does help drive up the value, I guess, of the other coins, that there aren't as many out there. But I just saw that debate the other day somewhere, I think on Twitter or on YouTube. There was someone mentioning something about that. So you got any opinions on that, Beardy?
My only thought about that is I'd say keep the supply the same, of course, but I wish they would do this anyways. Instead of thinking of it as 21 million Bitcoin, I think it's Mark Yusko's handle is 2.1 quadrillion something. So there's 2.1 quadrillion
sats.
Just move the decimal over. That's what they do with these super meme crap coins or whatever. People get excited and want to buy them because they're like, oh, I can buy so many of them. It's well, just move it over. Well, let's talk in Satoshis, move the decimal over. And then I think I was listening to something, they can do a soft fork where it's infinitely divisible. So it's you can always, divide them into more subunits, whatever. But
Yep. Definitely. I think that, and I guess going back to the original question, I guess for my end was I'm not really too worried about what happens when we finally mine the last Bitcoin, because it will be, so far in the future, even if it's only, 50 years ahead of time. That's not, in the grand scheme of things, a long amount of time. But we have jumped so far in technology. I mean, even in this year alone with AI, you look how far things have jumped. So,
Right.
like the advancements in computing, the advancements in healthcare, it's just everything in general, that I think that we will at some point come up with a solution in the future. And it's not like we're kicking the can down there. It's just we don't know how that plays out, because there's infinite amount of scenarios on how that plays out. So it's not really something worth stressing about.
Yeah, that's the other thing. 2140, maybe they come up with, I mean, obviously we're all gone, but maybe they come
Yeah.
up with a better solution by then, and who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we may be, not even on Earth at that point anymore. Elon may have us all kicking it on Mars and, discovering new galaxies and stuff.
Yep, we got Grinder's head preserved on
In the
Mars.
dark. Yep. He's like, do you guys ever watch that show Futurama? He's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the he became like one of the great Bitcoin philosophers of our age, and they mounted his head in a wall in a museum, and he just sits there and talks to people about what it was like before Bitcoin was a thing.
There you go.
Hey, I'd do it. I'd do it. Sign me up.
We're talking. He's talking about dial-up internet, and people don't even know what the internet is. All right, so we're gonna go to the next question, and to be honest with you guys, I think this is the most important question that we were asked: is when is the next Doobie Brothers album?
Yeah, so I threw this one in here because it did come from a member of the community that's been with us for a while. He was obviously joking, he knows he was, but yeah, it was interesting. So I crunched the numbers on it, and it looks like the Doobie Brothers put out a lot of albums in the 70s into the 80s. They pretty much put out one album every single year from 71 to 78, and then their frequency significantly and drastically reduces over time. So the average amount of time between albums since their like first decade of music is kind of like 5 to 6 years. So seeing how they put out their last album in October of 21, I would not, statistically speaking, I would not expect another album until at least 2025, 2026, 2027. That's my analysis, looking at the numbers and means and median ratios here.
I also looked at this, and it made me also kind of think about George R. R. Martin and his ability to write at such a terrific pace. So yeah, I was expecting 2030, gonna say 2030 on that one, but that works too, I guess. 2026 is, like looking on the I wouldn't be mad about it, to be happy, but I would probably say 2030.
What are your thoughts, Beardy?
I just want to make sure you take into account life expectancy. I don't know how old the Doobie Brothers
Right.
are, but
I mean, AC/DC is still making music, so I feel like we at least got a chance, right? Like we can keep our fingers crossed.
Google says they put one out in 2021. I say maybe they put one more out before they call it good in 2028, next 2 bull runs.
All
Okay,
right.
so we're expecting 2 bull runs worth of stuff to happen before we get a new Doobie Brothers album. I think that's the general consensus. So, yeah,
The
right.
history suggests that that'll be true.
and George R. R. Martin will still not have completed Winds of Winter. So it's only been 14 or 15 years, I think, at this point. So,
Grinder, you'll have to let them know, whoever it was that we addressed the question.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, it was Tyler. Thank you, Tyler.
Tyler, thank you for proposing the most important question. We really appreciate you, sir. That was a very thought-provoking exercise that we were actually talking about in our group chat, and we were all hysterically laughing, I think, when we read that. So,
we'll chat about anything. We don't care.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we will talk about anything, whatever you guys want. Just drop it in the comments. Let us know. All right. So next question we have is, what do you think of the 20-week and the 200-week crossing?
Yes. So I actually have
on Bitcoin.
I have that pulled up on my screen here. I'll share it with you.
Yes, please do.
Share screen. We want to share this one.
Also, there's been a blue jay. Ooh, I accidentally. There you go. There's been a blue jay absolutely demolishing something in my backyard. He keeps on going into a tree and then like swooping down and attacking what I'm assuming is bugs. But he's clearing them out right now. So
I only get cardinals at my place, the redbirds.
Yep. All right. So what people are talking about here. So the 20-day is the orange line here. That's part of the bull market support band on this chart, and then the purple line is the 200 week. Sorry, I think I might have just said 20-day. I meant 20-week. So the orange line is the 20-week. The purple line is the 200-week. And what people are talking about is that, assuming that price stays the same, the 20-week is about to cross the 200-week. And if we scroll back in time here, you'll see that this has never happened before. We came very close over in here in March of 2019 for the 20-week to dip under the 200-week, but it never happened. It basically just bounced off the surface of it and then kept going. So with this bear market, we had the first time where the 20-week went under the 200-week. But now that it's coming back up and it's about to cross, that's usually a bullish indicator. So my thoughts on it are, moving averages show momentum. They show a direction that things are moving. And so if the 20-week is continuing to move up and it's going to cross over the 200-week, I think that the time in which the 20-week was under the 200-week was the prime opportunity to stack some sats, because that may not happen again, or if it does happen again, it's not going to happen until the next bear market year. So that was your prime opportunity to collect some Bitcoin, and I know that I did. I bought on this candle right here in November. So anybody who bought Bitcoin in this time frame from June 22 to March of 23, you're, as long as you have a long enough time frame, you're probably sitting pretty, because that was a good opportunity.
yeah,
Can I just go back in time?
We are working on the time machine for you, Beardy.
yeah.
No, of
We
course.
actually,
I'm stack all that I can. Thank you very much.
yeah, I have been. I'm actually going to pull up a little chart I look at occasionally. I'm gonna have to not share your screen here for a second, buddy, but I'll get it back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right up for you. So there's this overbought oversold ratio. There's a couple of different ways you can look at this. I think Crypto Father shares a different one. If you guys don't know who Crypto Father is, it's Rob at Digital Asset News. We lovingly refer to him as Crypto Father. So he does one, and I think that we're shifting more. As you see here, we were a while ago, we were somewhere down over here into oversold, and we definitely reached that level for a while. But as you can see, we've been slowly kind of creeping back into the, not towards overbought, but like people are starting to realize that everyone kept saying we're going to get a $10,000 Bitcoin, we're going to go back to 3,000. That's what I'm going to buy. Blah blah blah. But it never happened, and honestly, I don't foresee it ever actually happening again. But
to the 10K gang.
I mean, I would love it if it went down to 10K, I'd be very happy, because I would still, buy a whole bunch. But, like Grind said, I went in pretty heavy and deployed a lot of capital into, what I had at right around that level he did, around that 18,000, when it 15 to 18,000 level, when it got to that level. So, super happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Grinder doesn't, I know it's a paid service. Benjamin Cohen has got a lot of those good indicators too in his
Yeah, absolutely.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you never trade off one, but the more data that you can accumulate, the better, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Do you subscribe to his stuff, Brian?
I do. Yeah.
Do you?
I find his stuff to be the most like objective and neutral and considering both sides of the equation and not pushing his own narrative. He looks at the charts and he looks at the data presented, and he's very scientific and mathematical about it, and that's what I like. I don't want people trying to influence the direction of something because it's what they want to see happen. I
Mhm.
want them to back it up with the data that shows, what they believe could happen based on the historical data following just, the evidence and the numbers. So, yeah, I find it to be very helpful. Um, he's
Yeah,
probably the top person that I follow and respect when it comes to making evaluations.
that's
Yeah.
good. I think he also has those social indicators. I think I put a lot more weight into those now, like Google searches and
Hmm.
Mhm.
interest. Kind of shows you the market's focus.
I think he can
Yep.
even break it down by like YouTube views and influence, like YouTube account people and stuff like that as well. I think I saw that on one of his streams.
Yep.
I don't I
Yeah, he
don't
does.
subscribe to his stuff because honestly, if like for me, I buy when I buy and I hold for the long term. So I there's a lot of people who can get a lot of information from him. I just don't feel like I'm one of those people because, like I said, I watch his show. Every time he puts out an episode, I'm subscribed to him, so I always just kind of watch it and then just base it off that. But some point I may spend the money for a month subscription just to go and deep dive around there and check it out.
Yeah, wait until he has like a sale. He usually runs a sale like every like quarter or so. So just wait for a sale, get it a little bit cheaper, mess around with it for a little bit. If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe but give it a try. Because there's a lot of good data on there and they're always updating things. And you also get access to some additional videos and stuff like that. To be honest with you, I don't watch the additional videos. I think his regular YouTube channel is, puts out enough content for me to kind of keep up with. But he does do like AMAs and with the community on there.
Oh, really? That's
As
neat. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I like I have become more and more of a fan of his as the bull or bear market goes on. Um, and I thought it was actually kind of funny. I don't know if you guys watch Rand's channel or not, Crypto Banter. Um, but I get he and Ben have gone back and forth on Twitter about the Bitcoin dominance and everything. And the other day, Rand finally came out and was like, I may have to eat some humble crow and admit that Benjamin Cow was right about this Bitcoin dominance thing." And I was like,
uh-huh,
"Yeah, shocking! Like
yeah,
like all these altcoin guys keep on, like we're gonna buy the shit coins and they make money on it doing it, I guess. Like, but I mean, he showed how much money he's also lost, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really interested in playing that leverage game, man. Like you guys, new
yeah.
DGens can do that, but I'm gonna stick with Ben and just I'm gonna stack money into Bitcoin Sats, and I'm gonna leave it be until the bull run.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, by ever since I started watching Ben, the only things that he's been wrong about are the the all-time high for Bitcoin last cycle, but everybody was
Everyone
wrong
was.
about that.
Can't hold that
So
against him.
can't knock him for that. And he thought that the merge was going to be like a tipping point for Ethereum based on the Ethereum Bitcoin evaluation, but it's ended up holding up longer and stronger than he expected. But aside from those two things, I mean, he's pretty much been right about everything. And again, that's because he follows that objective approach. He just looks at the data. He doesn't try to twist it. He doesn't try to say, like, this time is different because of this or that. So, I mean, I would have, if I had listened to him strictly, I would have done better with what my portfolio is right now. But you kind of get twisted in different directions and thinking different things. And I think we were talking about that in one of the last episodes, Joe, where I thought that this was going to be the cycle where like mass adoption like truly kicks in and it starts to behave differently. But yeah, see, Beardy. Yep. Nope. It's this time's not different. It's exactly the same. So
I do see Ben gets quite a lot of heat for his extended cycle theory that he had. But.
right. Yeah.
Which I mean, the extended cycle theory,
or lengthening cycles. Yeah.
Yeah. He had valid arguments to it, and I think that he's definitely. I think that he's kind of like Kathy Wood in a respect that he's right about a lot of things, but it's just the time frame that he is giving them is sooner than what it actually is.
Yeah, and that's the biggest downfall for most investors. Time series is the most difficult thing to lock down, but if you can have that conviction and you know where it's going to go and the fundamentals don't change, it'll show up eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to I didn't want to turn this into a chill fest or anything, but I just wanted to make a point that when I got in, I didn't know who I could trust, and there's now like a handful of people like Benjamin Cowan, Best Answers, Digital Asset News.
Crypto, Coin Bureau. I like Guy a lot.
And for me personally, for trading, crypto trading KS, but it kind of depends on your personality. Like, if a lot of people will vibe with Ben, or a lot of people will vibe with like Rob on Digital Asset, or James. It's just find those good people that you can, follow. They're good with their community, have your back.
I think you also have to look at what their, objectively what their goals are as well, right? Like, because you can look at someone like Ben, if you're someone who is, wanting to be a little more risky and play some, some alt or some degen plays like Rob does occasionally, right? Like Rob, is I think he's the most level-headed of the three, where he's just like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. This is what I think. This is what I'm doing. If y'all want to do this, cool. If not, then here's some other people that you can go follow. Maybe they make sense to you, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
And I think that
he's going to step away in the bull market, he said.
Yeah, exactly.
He just wants to be there in the bear market.
Yeah. So I think you need to find the or not influencer, but the crypto guy, the people that and the community that share your kind of values and morals and beliefs, right? And then just, as long and stick with them. If, you find someone like you trust and believe in, and, they, put out good content. And then also realize that other people, even if they have, like, I still watch Rand's channel a lot. I don't do degen. I don't do like crazy altcoin stuff, but he does put out some information occasionally where I'm like, never thought about it like that. So I think you need to be able to watch everyone objectively and still be able to see that maybe, they don't put out everything that you agree with, but there are some times where their opinion can, sway you one way or another.
Yeah. You don't have to agree with people 100%. The world would be boring then, but
yeah,
that's why my main go-to is BitBoy Crypto.
yeah, BitBoy.
Yeah, it's definitely good to get, to challenge that mental muscle, to have some critical thinking. You need to be able to listen to points of view that are counter to yours and take in that information, think about it, synthesize it, not get emotional about it and attack those people because they're challenging a viewpoint of yours, but instead like asking yourself, okay, what am I looking at that goes against what they're saying, and then finding like where your path is, like what do you want to believe, but you still need to look at the entire picture. You have to take in all the information, and sometimes it's valuable to listen to people who have different opinions of you, because there will be people that do listen to those people as well. So you could, that's one of the best ways to kind of find some of those like alternative projects that and altcoins that you want to invest in, because if an altcoin project starts to pick up momentum with communities and whatnot where everybody's talking about it, if you jump on it fast enough, you can ride the hype wave. It might not be a long-term investment for you, but you can say, like, everybody's starting to talk about, like the last one, for example, was like Render. Everybody started to talk about Render, and now look at how well it's been performing. Let me scroll down here.
Which this kind of jumps into the next, or one of the questions we were going to talk about was TA and thoughts on Render, OP, which I think is Optimism, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then HNT, which I'm drawing a complete blank on that one right now, unfortunately. But if you want to pull some charts up, buddy, and we can talk about Render and Optimism and everything like that.
Yeah, HNT is helium.
Okay.
So this is the Render daily chart, and so you can see, starting at the beginning of the year, approximately January 13th, it went on a pretty big run. So, like, just out of curiosity, if we added like I forgot, I hid my fib. 1 second. Get rid of that. Yeah, so I already put some fib extensions in here. But yeah, I mean, it's if you put the retracement levels from the past peak, you'll see that it already came back up and out of it. So it looks like it's still moving strong, but I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody get into it right now. I mean, a strong bull market hasn't been confirmed yet. I still think that we've got a lot more sideways to kind of go through until we move into the next bull market. And altcoins are always going to be more risky than like Bitcoin, but this is definitely something that I've been watching. And when the halving happens and everything starts moving again with Bitcoin, this definitely might be a coin that I consider investing in for the next bull market. But right now, I would expect a retracement at some point, because it's been very, very strong over the course of this year. But again, this is an example of a coin where if enough people start talking about it and it has like good merits behind it in technicals and whatnot, you can potentially ride the wave. So it's good to listen to other people's points of view on what they think the next big thing is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just like to point out that it is on one of our favorite chains as well, Solana. Just recently migrated over to Solana and have had huge success from everything that I've heard from people who talk to the project managers and everything like that. So just pointing it out there, guys, Solana gang.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything to talk about with Optimism or Helium, unless you guys did. We could pull up the Helium chart. HNT.
Beardy, you got anything, buddy?
I certainly do not. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I am a Bitcoin mostimalist. I do trade with a small percentage in my portfolio. One maneuver I do like to do, so whatever chart you pull up, I do, in TradingView, you can go to compare with the little plus button. I throw in Bitcoins in the background and then kind of compare. I like to, if I'm doing the trading thing, then when it's way below Bitcoin's gravity, that's a better time to get in. Like Render, I bet right now that it's way above, because it's way outperforming Bitcoin, I'm sure, as the alts. So with trading, it is a timing game.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have too much to add to that. I am very much in the same camp as Beardy of being a Bitcoin mostalist. I'm actually going to steal that, buddy. That's great.
I'm a most. I do have chairs.
So, like the project. So the projects I'm interested in, like I said, Solana and, Polygon, some other ones like that. But I just look at what everyone is doing and getting into, and then, what are they building on? Solana.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep stacking Solana,
Right.
And stacking Bitcoin because those are and Ethereum, because those are the projects that I, most believe in and I think have the strongest conviction in. So that's kind of, I don't really have any other opinions on Helium or anything like that. I believe Helium also just recently moved to Solana as well.
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah.
I try to stick in like the top 20 to 30 because they've been like, if SPF pulling out all his billions and billions of liquidity out of Solana didn't kill it, then I don't think it would be killed, but that's just my
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is the helium chart. I I've been following it for a little while, not in terms of the charts, but in terms of the project. It has some interesting components to it. I definitely think that it will be something that will probably stick around because it has like a community and it has some purpose to it. But from a technical analysis perspective, I mean, it's not in a good position right now. The price is essentially back to where it was prior to the 2020-2021 bull run. It's underneath all of its moving average. It's consistently being rejected off of its 20-week SMA. It's under the point of control on the volume indicator that we discuss. I mean, if you did believe in the project, now would be like maybe a time to start considering stacking because it is, back to those prices. It's at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. It looks like we're getting a squeeze. But this is, definitely not like a sure thing. It would be speculation, and I would not recommend people put a large portion of their portfolio into it. But if you believe in the project and that it's going to stick around through another cycle, you'll probably see some gains from here. I would predict at least until about the $18 mark, because of probably, if we put, let's see here, let's take the fib levels.
And I will say I actually did look into it, not as a token, but as helium mining. I looked into it from that angle at one point, and that was probably the most interesting. If you want to if you're interested in learning how to mine it, it was probably the simplest way to mine, and then you could get it through that way. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if you follow the indicators that like we use on the channel, and if putting this fib in here, even if it doesn't reach its all-time high or put in a new all-time high, you could always take the bet that it's gonna ride the liquidity wave back up in the next bull market. And if you bought now, and we'll do like a measured move, even if it only got back up to the golden ratio, you're looking at a 16x. So, I mean, that's definitely something to consider. But usually when coins bounce back, they can also get up to the 0.5 or the 0.382. So you're definitely looking at a reasonable rate of return if you believe in the project long term. But this is not something that I would try to like day trade or swing trade right now because it's just been bleeding out. And, Bitcoin is the better option.
And I think that that's for a lot of people, the arguments come down to right now, does it make more sense to stack into Bitcoin or into altcoins? And I think that's, depending on what your strategy is and what your view is, and, you need to make it off that. But I agree with you that it just makes more sense to buy Bitcoin right now.
Yeah. It's less risky, and I like keeping my capital, not gambling it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's fun to throw, like $50 into Pepe and see what happens and yell YOLO. Everyone's, I did, like I've never really bought into a meme coin seriously before, so I was like, I'll throw $100 at it and see what happens. And currently, it's sitting at like $60. So that's why I don't play with meme coins, and that's why I just like every once in a while is it fun to do. Yeah, instead of going out drinking for a night or whatever. You throw $100 at a meme coin and see what happens, and hopefully you get lucky, right?
Yeah, but this is it right here, and so far it's not looking so great.
Yeah, and so
but that's okay. No, but I understand where you're coming from.
Kind of like what they did with Pepe, because I was saying, why don't they put out a coin that says, "Hey, this has it's nothing other than traders have fun, go at it," And that's what they did with Pepe. They're like, "All right, traders, go at it, have fun."
Yeah.
Although I do think it hurts. It does. It definitely does. I think kind of hurt the community. The face of crypto when we've got people throwing, losing tens of thousands of dollars on a coin that has absolutely no purpose of a frog. But it's fun, I guess, every once in a while.
I think grand scheme of thing that kind of helps out, because then people are like, oh, they see it's a scam, and they're like, oh, and then it's kind of how I got. And then you look at all these crap coins, and then eventually it led me to Bitcoin. So sometimes you got to pay your tuition to the market.
For sure.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
I've paid my fair share of tuition.
Yeah.
I have too. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about we talk about storage options after the Ledger debacle, and then I probably got to go after that.
Yeah, definitely. So as everyone knows, I will be completely honest. Before this, I was, I had said why I buy through Coinbase and through Ledger, because they were the two that hadn't really failed anyone, or like they were the ones that were the proven consistent ones, and one of those definitely blew up in my face. But there are other options out there. Trezor, Ergis, I think Ergis, is that what they call it? They've got one I was just looking at through storage options. But what are you guys thinking for the future? Are you going to stick with Ledger, or are you going to go with a different option? What are you guys thinking?
You want to go first, Beardy?
I'll go first, just because I actually never owned a Ledger. When I did my research, it was Trezor or Ledger, and I'm not very tech savvy, and so I watch Invest Answers, and he said he had a Trezor Model T. So being as creative as I am, I just bought a Trezor Model T, and that worked out for me. If this would have been Trezor that had been pulling this, I'd be like losing my crap right now, because I'm like, well, not really tech savvy. I had to watch a lot of tutorials, go step by step, just to learn how to get it into cold storage. So I'm thankful for that. But I know Grinder's been putting a lot of research into this one. Curious to hear his thoughts.
Yeah, but you want to share, buddy?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I did a lot of research back in 2021 to get a hardware wallet, cold storage hardware wallet, and similar to like what Beardy was saying, the options came down to Ledger or Trezor. The reason why I went with Ledger is because I liked the Ledger Live interface, and it had access to coins at the time that Trezor didn't have access to. So for me, it was about being able to have everything on one device. I had heard about the 2020 data breach that they had, and I figured, everybody gets one chance. Maybe that was their mistake, and they're going to lock it down, and there's not going to be any issues. So I went with Ledger for that reason. I think it was also cheaper than the Trezor at that time. So, that was also something that I considered. And I think a lot of people consider when, especially if you're dealing with like low sums of money. If you have like less than $1,000 in crypto, and then you have to spend $100 or $200 on a device, that might not necessarily like make immediate sense for you. So I did go with like the cheaper option, because I also wanted to have a device that I could share with friends and family and help them set it up. And I felt like Ledger was going to be the easier one for me to be able to do that with them. And again, like I said, I like the interface as well. And I did set up a lot of people with that. So now, I'm going back to all those people and telling them about what the risks are. I think what's really important to kind of talk about here is that the risks can be somewhat overblown by individuals who don't necessarily understand what they're talking about. So like the biggest risk that I see right now with Ledger is if somebody was to hack. If you sign up for the program, which you don't even need to sign up for the Ledger Recover program, but if you do sign up for the Ledger Recover program, and then somebody hacks these third-party places that are securing your seed phrases and then puts them together, that's a potential issue. The bigger issue, I mean, I think the bigger issue, which is ultimately what I'm concerned about, is the fact that you're opening up a door for governments to potentially like use warrants to be able to go after specific people. And I get nervous about that because of what the US did with gold back in the day. They decided that they put out this executive order. They said that they were going to confiscate everybody's gold. Obviously, they didn't have a digital way to like go and figure out where is everybody with this and then confiscate it. They relied on people to go down there and bring their gold and turn it in for that fair value that they deemed at that time. So if history often repeats it, it doesn't repeat exactly, but it often rhymes. So like, is it possible that the US feels threatened by Bitcoin in the future, that's rising up to be a rival them in the world reserve currency status? Absolutely. Is it possible that they could issue a mandate saying that in a time of war or for some other reason that they have the ability to seize everybody's Bitcoin to like fight the Russians or fight the Chinese or something like that? Yeah, I mean, it's technically possible. So if you want to be as safe as possible, you have to make it so that's not even an option. And so there is that risk. But if you trust Ledger, if you don't believe that the government's going to come after you, if you don't believe that a hacker is going to be able to like hack into multiple organizations and put these seed phrases together, then you probably don't really have that much to worry about. And you don't need to like panic and smash your device and find a new one and transfer everything over. But if you're like right, but like if you're a true Bitcoiner who really wants to trust nobody, you should probably move it over to something else. And so after all the research that I've done, I think that, Beardy has it right there. I think the Trezor Model T, while it is more expensive, it has access to all the coins that I needed to have access to except for Solana. So I will probably be purchasing the Trezor Model T, moving everything except my Solana over to it, and keeping my Solana on my ledger.
That's actually, yeah, no, that's actually exactly what I'm doing. Believe it or not, that actually, I love how we have the same. And just so everyone knows, this is actually the first time we've talked about this, and that was pretty much my plan. And my conclusion was, you need to be able to find what works best for you and your use case. There are going to be and I'm going to play devil's advocate here for Ledger for a moment, because I can understand where they're coming from. If you're, an elderly, I don't want to say elderly person. If you're someone above the age of, 30, no offense, Beardy, but 35, 40, if you're, if you're in that generation, you're probably not really going to be interested in Bitcoin, right? You're not going to be interested in crypto. you're not going to be the one to get into it. You're going to have someone tell you about it. Then you're going to start looking into it and being like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But I don't want the responsibility of doing this because, like we talked about earlier offline, was that people are so used to banks, and that's exactly what a bank does. Is you deposit your money and they say, hey, we'll give it back to you when you're ready for it, and we just hope and a wing and a prayer that they actually do, right?
Yep.
So there are people who are going to be trusting of institutions because it reminds them of the banking sector. Now, if you got someone who's going to put in $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 of their money, that's a lot of money. Like that. I think that's a lot of money to 90% of the people in the world. Like that's not anything that you're gonna. If you lose, you're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. It's only $10,000, right? Like I don't even like losing $50 in my pants when I'm trying to, when I'm carrying cash. Like I always dig through my pockets. And so I think I understand where they're coming from when they said, the CEO said, this is what our future customers want. And I can understand where they're coming from a certain perspective, because yeah, if you're a 50-year-old person, 60-year-old person who, just wants to throw, $500 a month into Bitcoin or, whatever it is, and you don't want to lose that because you're trying to hedge your portfolio that, because you're 20, 10 years, 15 years away from retirement, and you don't want to work your entire life and then the fiat system goes to hell and you lose everything. Like I really understand where they're coming from, that yeah, I'll pay the $10 to be able to get my seed phrase back. Like I really think that they had the best of intentions coming from where they're coming from this. I think that they really did expect it to be better received than it was, but a lot of it pissed off a lot of maximalists because, they do believe, like you said, especially with the gold situation, like they don't trust the government. They don't want anyone to be able to have access to their funds except for them, like they are truly Bitcoin maximalists. And for them, yeah, Ledger's not for you, man. Like, it's not for you anymore, I guess. You can not upgrade your firmware for a time being until they, I think that they said they were going to pause pushing out that update. So, you got some time to look into other options and figure out what you're doing. And, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that you need to look at what works best for you and what works for your certain scenario and what coins you have invested. I really wish Trezor did have Solana, because I could just move everything over, but that was pretty much the conclusion I came to as well, was I'm going to buy a Trezor and just leave my Solana on there. And if I lose my Solana, then, it sucks, but at least everything else is, there's not someone who can get my seed phrase. And even Trezor does have their issues, like they've even admitted that if someone gets a hold of your device, it is possible for them to hack it, but they have to hack your device. So
yeah, they have to have the physical device to do that.
So, I mean, there's pros and cons to every hardware wallet out there, right? Like, yeah, it's great that Trezor is not going to be offering this service, but at the same time, if someone gets a hold of your device, they have had them hacked in the past. So you got to take that into consideration. Is that something that you're willing to accept the risk on?
Right.
So, and the other one I was looking at was the Arglist. That's the one that I was trying to say. I don't know if you guys have looked into that one at all, but I don't know. It actually looks kind of cool. You got your little wallet key card thing, and then you scan it to your phone, and it shows you everything. I think that's kind of a cool, different thing, but not what I'm going to go with. But there's tons of wallet options out there for everyone.
Right.
And even if you don't trust anyone specifically, maybe you decide you're going to keep your ledger and you keep 25% of your portfolio on that, 25% on a Trezor, and then you split up the other 50% between other digital wallets, or not digital wallets, but like Coinbase wallet and something else like that, MetaMask, and you just split it up into different things, so that way you've got a whole bunch. It's separated enough that you have that almost like decentralization
Right.
Risk
of
management.
your funds. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on or opinions on that.
I do. I just, for the record, I'm like 5 years older than Grinders, so don't be treating me like I'm father time over here. You're in your 30s, like Grinder?
Yeah.
You're over 30, yeah. So you just
Yeah.
offended Grinder.
Oh, I am too. I am too, to be complete. I'm 30. I'm 31. To be honest with you, I don't know. I apologize, Beard. I didn't mean to make you feel like a boomer, buddy. My bad.
I'm 38. I'm technically a millennial. Thank you.
There you
You
go.
know what? I just feel like you're so much more responsible than Grinder and I, because you've got, you're like a real adult. You have kids and stuff. Like I guess Grinder has, his
Well,
responsibilities and
I
everything.
got one kid. I've just gotten started. Beardy's like an expert with what do you have 5 kids, Beardy?
Yeah, twins.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I have 2 dogs. That's it.
so I guess my closing statement would be this is all going to evolve over time. There's a lot of like good developers. They're working on it. There's going to be better solutions in the future, I would imagine. But yeah, for me, it's Trezor. There's another one. If you're Bitcoin only, a lot of people do the cold card. But
Yeah.
it just depends what features you're looking for, what you're comfortable with. Some people are comfortable trusting more than others. Like you said, I don't think Ledger's trying to be bad actors. They're looking to the future. That some people are going to want the little wiggle room to get their keys back. So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Whoa. A whale just came in here.
Bitcoin. Grinder made a purchase.
Bitcoin just jumped up like $250 in like 3 seconds.
Ah, geez.
Yeah, it did. Well, it's a big candle.
Sailor's buying again.
Coming up to the top of the bull markets, or I mean the Bollinger Bands there. So.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Sailor, I don't have enough yet. Please.
Right.
Yeah, but see, this will be, if we can get a close above this resistance line today, that'll be a breakout of this downtrend, a confirmation of holding the 200-week SMA. We didn't even need to tap the bull market support band. That could be really bullish, especially if the debt ceiling debate is settled and gets finalized and completed next week.
Isn't that crazy?
We're looking good.
Isn't that
we're
crazy?
Looking good for another leg.
TA blends in with all the world events, like it's like, okay, once they push through the debt ceiling, that'll provide liquidity, and it's like,
well, then you also
and
have
June 1st is right here. This is June 1st. So like the tip of the wedge was essentially by the time they decide the debt ceiling debate.
What's the saying? Show me the charts and I'll tell you the news, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, also, if the debt ceiling does get closed before the 1st, then you also have Hong Kong being able to come in on June 1st as well.
Exactly.
Buying for I believe for the mainlanders, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll be able to do it through Hong Kong.
They're only allowed to buy into certain coins, I think, right? Like there's only a certain select, of which I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a few others are in there. So
James from Invest Answers did a video a couple days ago on what coins are going to be allowed, and there's like 7 or 8 smart contract platforms.
Okay.
And then so it's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, a couple other smart contract platforms, and there was a couple of interesting ones in there, like Bitcoin Cash. I don't understand why people are buying Bitcoin Cash, but that's an option.
Never made sense to me. I looked into when I first got into Bitcoin Cash. I was like, is this like a weird, like an offshoot of like Bitcoin where you what is cash? And then I saw like wrap Bitcoin, and I'm like, what? Why don't you people just buy regular Bitcoin? Why are you buying all this extra stuff? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to orange pill a lot of my colleagues, and they're like, well, which Bitcoin do I buy? And I'm like, oh God.
There's only one.
Just go to any coin buying, the place where you can buy coin, and go to number 1. That's the one you need to buy.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Joe, real quick, you got me down as Bready Day up top.
My bad, buddy. If
I might
anyone doesn't know, I'm extremely dyslexic. I have made 3 mistakes on this apparently today already. So
probably do have some bread in my beard though. So
it's
Well,
yeah, my bad, buddy. I'll make sure to get that taken care of.
I think we got 2 episodes out of the deal though.
yeah, no, we did. I think that's a good place to stop. We can do more research on the staking and use cases of dexes and the risks and benefits of using dexes like Uniswap and whatnot. And maybe save that for another video.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of BTC Breaking the Cycle. And we hope you guys are finding your financial freedom, or the information to find your financial freedom. So that being said, go outside, touch some grass, do something with your family. Remember, it's Memorial Day. So remember that, we do live in a country, if you're watching in the US, that your freedoms were paid for by, other people and their sacrifice for them, for others. So
yeah,
make sure you remember, if you have a family member who's, in the military, make sure you reach out to them and make sure that they're doing all right. So
all right. Thanks,
anything
guys.
else to add? We will go ahead and wrap it up.
I'm all good.
All right. Well, y'all have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys next time.
See ya.